Are you ready, podcast? Time to demonstrate. Rachelle Logan, the etiquette queen, teaching us all how to thrive in the scene.
Greetings. I am your host, Lady Rachelle of the Are You Ready show on WDRB Media. Welcome. On today's show, I will discuss a really wonderful topic. This will be a great discussion for everyone. It is the nonprofit business. There are lots of types of nonprofits in the U.S. and all over the world. Many people benefit from nonprofits of all types. Also, please remember to go to Amazon to get my new book, Mannerisms, Manners for Today's Changing World. So, join me so we can have a lively discussion on the importance of nonprofits and how they impact society. Did you know that there are over 1.8 million active nonprofit organizations in the United States? These include all sorts of nonprofits, not just 501c3 charities. They include churches, schools, and foundations dominate the nonprofit sector, accounting for almost 40% of all nonprofits in the United States. After that, about 15% of organizations are classic civil, social, and business engagement organizations, including Little League, Chamber of Commerce, fraternal organizations. The next 7% includes emergency assistance providers, residential care facilities, and other human services. Another 7% are museums, art groups, and other cultural and humanities nonprofits. The remaining types of nonprofits, about 1/3 of all nonprofits, have all of about 4% or less of the total, and including everything from unions to environmental advocacy to think tanks and civil rights. It's time for a quick break. After the break, my guest Margaretta Young is here, and she is here to discuss her nonprofit and how important they are. Don't go anywhere. Lady Rachelle will be right back on WDRB Media, where you can listen live 24/7 for double the information and inspiration. Welcome, Margaretta.
Thank you.
Okay, could you tell me a little bit about your nonprofit and what it is about?
Sure. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Margaretta Young, and the name of my nonprofit organization is called Women of Strength Resources Development and Foundation. My organization has been existing since 2001, and we have helped over 30,000 families to date. And our mission is to restructure, to recapture the vision for rebuilding stronger family foundations, educating children, empowering families, and rebuilding communities.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And I've met some of the people in your organization.
Yes, you have.
A remarkable group of women, and they all have a purpose and a vision to help others.
Yes.
Now, I know you've been a part of several nonprofits, and you've also had the opportunity to help people set up nonprofits. Could you explain the process of going and setting up other nonprofits?
Wow, yes. My passion for setting up nonprofits started from the time that I was a child because my mom had 8 children. And growing up in a family of 8, we grew up in public housing. And growing up in public housing, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot. My mom was a single parent, and she had government assistance. And so there were days that I understood what hunger felt like. And so that passion and watching the dynamics of my family, and we all understand that because we all have family dynamics.
Absolutely.
Where we lived in New York City housing, and there was just so much going on that children should not see at that time.
Right.
So we were surrounded by the drugs, we were surrounded by the violence, we were surrounded by domestic violence and abuse. And only thing that my mom could do would take us to church. And that's where we really learned how to be ourselves, to speak, to soar, to understand who we were, that we were not a product of our environment.
Absolutely.
And so at that time, we also had villagers of people who would take care of us and watch out for us. So we never went a day without eating, but we understood what it was like. And there were several incidents that took place. I had some brothers who passed away early in their lives because they got caught up in that drug scene.
Yes.
And they died early. And I was a teenage mom. I became a teenage mom. Well, I knew better because I was raised in the church, but I was that prodigal daughter that walked away, and I became a teenage mom. However, my family supported me. The church supported me and loved me. They gave me what I needed to make sure that I was good mentally and emotionally and not just spiritually. Those things really accounted for something. My mother kept us in after-school programs and summer camps, and those are the things that helped mold us to shaped us. So as I got older, it was the family dynamics and the demographics of where we lived in the geographical area of seeing different scenarios play out.
Right.
But I got the opportunity to go away to school. I got the opportunity to go away to school, and I saw another culture. It was like a culture shock.
Right.
So growing up, I wanted to do more. I wanted to be more of an impact to help those families who understood hunger. I wanted to be a part of something bigger and something greater, and I realized that I had a gift, and that gift was to be a world changer. So growing up, I started this organization, and to my amazement, we have helped over 35,000 families.
Wow.
And a lot of it comes from understanding their situation.
Absolutely.
Being in a shelter at one time, going from apartment to apartment, living in the cold, living in the extreme hot, living with rodents and bettering ourselves. And so I wanted to help families. I wanted to help communities. I wanted to help that young woman that was pregnant as a teenager.
Absolutely.
I wanted to help that mother who had 8 children. We were her.
Right.
She is my sister.
Right.
I am you. We look alike.
Right.
How can I help? And that's how Women of Strength started.
Well, that's an amazing story. And as I tell everybody, everyone has a story. And everyone has a story to tell. In today's society, with everything that's going on with social media, violence and wars and all that, do you think nonprofits are making a difference?
Absolutely. However, there is always more that can be done. We have so many people here in Charlotte now, over 10 million people. And the poverty level for hunger is just way too high.
Yes. Yes.
When I do the research on that, number one, the North Carolina Voices for Children, NC Child, says that the more successful a child is in their family or economically and financially secure, the more successful they are.
Yes.
They're saying that, hey, the African American family is 3 times multi-poverty.
Right.
Multi-generational poverty.
Right, generational.
Compared to one family in the 3 generations of white Americans or Hispanic Americans. However, but this poverty is concentrated. It is concentrated poverty where the schools are low-performing schools. There's an economic deprivation in the home. There's disparities. The nutrition level is not high. We're unhealthy. We're struggling with obesity, type 2 diabetes. We're not eating properly.
Right.
And this is where the nonprofit sector comes into play. We need more companies, more people saying, I'll be the change. I'll be the change that you see. Years ago, people thought that you had to be poor in order to be one paycheck away from homeless.
Absolutely.
But that is the average family nowadays.
Yes, it is.
The average family now has to choose between paying a bill and going to the pantry, or paying their rent and buying food. The senior citizens are choosing whether they should buy medicine
Absolutely.
or buy food. And this is something that policymakers, shareholders, educators, clergy, government, everyone can take a part in. Everybody can get involved. And if you have a vision, we could certainly help you make that vision come to pass so that you can help these families. There is so much help, even for the veterans.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And so my heart goes out to people. My heart goes out because I love people, and love lifted me.
Right.
And I want to take that love and deposit that into the community that I live in and change the tone and the culture from where I live and deposit back into that community so that as we produce these productive citizens,
Right.
they will in turn turn around and rinse and repeat.
Okay, how do you think we can get young people involved in doing more volunteer or helping out the nonprofits? I mean, they have a way of thinking, the me kind of attitude. What are some ways we can encourage our young people to get involved?
Absolutely, Rachelle. That is a wonderful question because many families struggle now. They even had a talk show about the father who was trying to teach his children the value of money because
Right.
he had the money. Can't remember his name at the moment, but and we try to teach our children these valuable lessons, but you can't beat that into them.
No.
They cannot see our struggle.
Right.
So where they are thriving, they're thriving off of our hard work or where we had to sacrifice. The best way to get the children involved in the youth of today is to engage them.
Right.
And my nonprofit organization engages them. We go to the schools and we host college fairs. We do backpack giveaways. We have a lot of community outreach and charitable services, and we make sure that we engage them. Whereas if we're uptown feeding who we call our neighbors, we don't call them homeless, we call them our neighbors. We ask for help. We take them with us.
Yes.
They pack sandwiches. They pack juices. We let them feed the homeless. At one time, we had men cutting hair, working with different nonprofits and collaborating. But they have to see the change in order to want to be the change.
Absolutely. And that's amazing.
Right.
And I know that this is a passion for yours. I know when you brought it to my attention, I just thought it was amazing. I had not been in this area long, and you were one of the first people that I met that even talked about nonprofits to me. And I think it's just an amazing thing that you're doing, and I want to commend you in front of my entire audience and whomever's listening that nonprofits are a way for you to give back.
Right.
Most people don't have the time to do a lot of things. They don't have time to do a lot of volunteering. But when you become part of a nonprofit and you know that you're not there just for the money,
Right.
that because of the title nonprofit, that means that you're not in it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
You're in it for the service.
Right.
And I know you are passionate, boy, ever. I have heard these conversations over breakfast.
Yes, I am.
And I know you are really passionate about helping people.
Yes, I am.
Because you know the benefit of receiving help.
Right.
We all have received help.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us are so grateful that the first thing we want to do is go help someone else.
That's right.
And I think that it's amazing. However, it's time for a short break. I will be right back with Margaretta. And Margaretta will discuss some ideas if you want to be part of nonprofits, if you're in the Charlotte area, and how to contact her. Don't go anywhere. Lady Rachelle will be right back on WDRB Media, where you can listen live 24/7 for double the information and inspiration. Welcome back to the Are You Ready show. I am your host, Lady Rachelle, with Miss Margaretta. We have been discussing nonprofits and how they have helped her. Thank you again, Margaretta, for
You're
being
welcome,
here and
Rachelle.
joining me today. This has been wonderful. I will continue this amazing topic on how nonprofits have impacted you and provided inspiration to your life.
Excellent. Well, that is a story. When I think about how nonprofits have impacted me and have provided inspiration in my life, I have to be honest. I have to think back and go back into my childhood
Okay.
because it just didn't start yesterday. As a little girl growing up, we had a pastor named Reverend Dr. Clifford R. Johnson. He was our pastor at the Bethelite Baptist Church, and that church really was a village for my family. We were not just parishioners, we were not just church members with our name on the roll. They really understood discipleship, they understood families, they understood the love of God. And they helped my mom cultivate her children. She had 8 children, and at that time she'd asked the Lord, what should she do with us? And the Lord told her to take us to church. Well, my mother struggled. She took us to church, sometimes with holes in her stockings, just to make sure that we all had. Sometimes she would buy the girls an outfit one week, and then the next 2 weeks the boys an outfit. But we have villagers, we have people in the ministry who gave us clothes. We have people who lived in our building who contributed. My mom was a great mom, but she would give her offering, and at the end of the service, the ministry would pour back into her to make sure that our rent was paid and that we had food. And so we all grew up, and recently we invited Reverend Dr. Clifford R. Johnson to a family summit, and me, my brother, my sister, we all were like, we had the same story.
Yeah.
We all were impacted. Can you imagine one, but a whole family? And that's where it starts for me. Not just impacting, but impacting one person to impact a family, to impact a community, and then a nation.
Yes.
And so with that, our choir director, Bernice Connors, I loved her. I was a little sassy thing, but she had me pecked, boy. And she would talk to us about how we looked, how we dressed, keeping our undergarments clean, and how we spoke. And I just was that little one that rolled my eyes for every little thing, and I don't care what you're saying, and you're not my mother, kind of thing, even though my mom taught us manners. However, they were our village, and my mom paid it forward.
Yes.
She invited like 2,500 people to church, and I saw families transformed, changed, that rose from the bottom up, from like ground zero. And I would say, wow. And she would take us to the nursing home. She went to the prison. She went to the hospital. She fed the hungry. She did exactly what was done to her and for her. And we mimicked that. And there were times we would say, Mom, what are we eating? And she'd go, oh, I'm going to cook this, I'm going to cook that. And Rachelle, before you know it, she was inviting everybody to eat. And we were like, wait a minute, we don't hardly have enough food, but it stretched. Yes. I saw the scripture, 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread come to life. Yes. And I was amazed by that. And at 4 years old, she was taking us to nursing homes so we could sing for people.
Wow.
And we took care of my grandfather, so we would bring him mineral oil back then in the day, and whatever we brought him, we brought to the other people in the nursing home.
Wow.
So as I grew up, I remembered that. Okay. And I looked back and I saw those people who reached back to grab me when I was pregnant at 15. You had the itty bitty hat committee. They looked at me sideways.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But they didn't matter, because you also had those disciples that loved me back to life as a prodigal daughter. I had people, no matter where I went, they could recognize the love of God on my life and the hand of God, and they would minister to me, and they would help me. I took parenting classes. I took sewing classes. I had after school. And everything my mom did for us, that is what we do now. And each of my brothers and sisters, we have after school programs, summer camps, ministries, and we are paying it forward. So I'm impacted and inspired when I see the change. And I'm telling everybody out there, you got to be the change that you want to see. If you think you're a change agent and you got a powerful testimony or a story or an experience, reach back and go get somebody else, because we can change the narrative.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is exactly right. And I know that you impact so many people. And just from meeting you and talking with you has absolutely impacted me, because I joined a nonprofit, and I am really glad that I did. I've had lunch with your nonprofit members, and they are all on the same mission
Thank you so much.
to pay it forward, pay
Excellent.
it forward. So I just want to say thank you again. And do you have any last words?
Yes, I have one more thing to say. I just want to say to you that if this is something that you think you want to do, please don't hesitate. I talk about these experiences in my book,
Yes.
The Total Woman, where I took all of these circumstances into my 35-year marriage, but God brought me out triumphantly. And so today we've impacted over 35,000 families.
Wow.
Through education, through food, through clothing, and different initiatives.
That is amazing. And I know you're still working.
Yes, I
You're
am.
still working and still preaching and still counseling
Yes.
and still mentoring
Coaching.
and coaching and
Yes.
everything else. But how can people get a hold of you?
Well, you can reach me at Marge Young, WOS, and that WOS stands for Women of Strength, at yahoo.com. That's Marge with an E, MARGEYOUNG, WOS as in Sam, at yahoo.com. Or you can feel free to call me at 704-738-7377.
Thank you so much, Margaretta.
You're welcome,
What a wonderful
Rachelle.
topic. And then, like I said, if you want to give back or pay it forward, there are lots of nonprofits out there. Just Google them. That's what I tell everybody now. Just Google them. And remember to listen to me every week where I will discuss information that can help you in every aspect of your life. Also, visit me on RachelleLoganMedia.com for information on media training, manners, etiquette, social media, and online classes that you could take at the privacy of your own home. These classes will help you become the best version of yourself. This is Lady Rachelle of WDRBmedia.com, the voice of the community. Thank you for watching my channel. Be sure to check out my website, RachelleLoganMedia.com. You can find the link in the description. I also have an online school teaching public speaking, etiquette, and much more. I also wrote multiple books for adults and children that will teach you to become the best version of yourself. Thank you and see you next time.